How you guys doing down here at Table Rock Lake? Still waiting on things to thaw out. We got a little bit of sunshine yesterday. A lot of the main roads, they got them cleared off to where you can get around town down here in Branson. But most of the boat ramps, like over at State Park, Mill Creek, Boat Access, Ants Creek, Cape Fair, all those places, they're still iced up really bad to where you're probably not going to want to launch a boat. You can try it, but you just don't want to end up with your whole truck and everything in the water. So I think tomorrow, Sunday, actually things might get a little bit better to where actually you can get out in the water and do some fishing. So today, guys, what I'm going to be talking about is, how I practice for spring tournaments. One of the most difficult things for people to figure out when they're first getting started fishing tournaments and traveling and fishing on new bodies of water is, how to go about practicing for your tournament. Most of the time, you're only going to get a day or two to try to figure something out. And what has worked for me a lot of times in the past is I will start my tournament preparation at home. I will try to do my research on the computer to where I try to get a feel, maybe ask some questions, on some message boards. Talk to as many people as I can to try to figure out, what's a real good creek on that lake. Like, is there a creek that kind of sticks out as being a real good creek for fishing where, a lot of tournaments have been won. People have done really well there that time of the year. And what I'm going to do is the first day of practice, because usually I can only get about 2 days of practice. The first day of practice, I'm going to show up and I'm going to fish that creek that I've chosen to start my practice on. And I'm going to fish everything in that creek. And I might spend the whole day in there. I'm going to go all the way to the back end of the creek. And I'm going to fish everything all the way out to the mouth of the creek and the main lake points. And I just want to get a feel for, what the fish are doing in that one creek. Usually in the spring, what's going on is... ultimately what the fish are doing is they're heading in the direction of spawning. So what I like to do is I like to start in the back of the creek, fish my way out, and try to determine where at in the creek are these fish relating, and what baits, what presentations that I can use in order to catch fish. Because a lot of times if you kind of run willy-nilly all over the lake and fish a lot of different places in a day, say if you're bouncing from main lake to, the secondaries to the back of creeks, it's really hard to get a feel kind of for, where the fish are relating for that time of the year. So day one, I'm picking out a big creek, or maybe two creeks, where I'm going to spend, half a day in one big creek and half a day in another creek. And I'm going to fish everything. Like I said, throw a lot of different baits, check a lot of different depths, see where the shad are at in relation to that creek. I'm going to get a good feel for, where I got bit is in regards to water clarity. Did I need wind? Did I need sun? Did I need big rocks? Did I need little rocks? Did I need brush? I'm going to take note of all these things. And then on day two, hopefully I've got something figured out to where, I either got bit more at the mouth of the creek, and I got bit maybe on flat banks, or maybe I got bit, towards the back of the creek on channel banks. And what I'm going to do on the next day is I'm actually going to take a look at all the creeks and see if I can't kind of replicate or find more areas like I did that first day. One of the hardest things, I think, in tournament fishing is, most of the time going into a tournament, a lot of guys, they might have only, one or two spots where they caught fish the day before. And the problem that you run into when you practice that way is that, say you go to those one or two places and it doesn't work out, like you can't get bit there. So now, you're sitting there in the middle of the tournament and you don't have multiple areas that you can go to that, are the same thing. So what I've kind of done is try to develop a system. I'm mostly like a shallow water fisherman. So, I'm not really looking at my electronics. I'm just trying to read the water and find areas that look very similar. But if I can have one day to figure out, what I think the fish are doing, the next day I'm going to drive around the whole lake and try to find as many areas that set up just the same way. That way, when I go to my first 2 or 3 spots and I don't get bit, I automatically know that, hey, if I run 10 miles down the lake, I got the same thing down here. And what that does is it lets me expand upon the lake and take a really, really big lake and narrow it down to where I've got spots in different areas of the lake, but everything becomes a lot smaller at that point for what I'm going to fish on tournament day. Most of the time, practice never really ends up being where you go to catch your fish in a tournament. There's just so many variables that have to add up in order to have those same conditions line up. And that's why winning, tournaments is such a challenge. I also really believe that on any given tournament day, you're going to get like 3 or 4 guys that just happen to, out of a bigger field, just happen to land on fish and catch a lot of fish because they got lucky. They just pulled into an area, they were biting, and they caught them. But what you're going to see is the guys that have a system, the guys that develop a way to go about this, they might not win every event, but they're going to be in the money and they're going to be in the top, 10% tournament after tournament because they're using a system in order to get on the fish and stay with them longer. So hopefully, guys, my tips for how I go to practice are going to help you in your spring tournaments this spring. Just give it a shot. Hope it works. And tomorrow, hopefully, we're going to get out and do some fishing here, and I'll give you guys a report on Table Rock. I'm hoping a lot of this stuff's going to melt off today. We're going to have temps in the 40s, and I think a lot of it's going to warm up. We're going to get a lot of melting, and hopefully I can get out there and give you guys a report. Keep fishing. We'll talk to you guys soon.